A federal judge just blocked the Biden administration's new pathway to citizenship for undocumented spouses of Americans. It puts the futures of at least 500,000 families in limbo, including Fode Touré from Sierra Leone.
I've been in this country since second grade. I went to elementary here. I pledged allegiance to the flag. I took an oath to protect the United States Constitution. I am protecting citizens in my city every day. So what harm are you facing when I'm paying taxes? How is Texas or any state showing harm in here when it's all benefit that spouses of U.S. citizens are contributing?
NBC's David Noriega is here with more. I'm also joined by MSNBC legal analyst Paul Butler. David, you interviewed Fode. Walk us through his argument and what this pause means for families like his.
Yeah, Chris, so Fode's argument is really a response to the argument that Texas and these 15 other states wielded when they filed this lawsuit against the federal government. Those states say that a program like this is harmful to the states and to the country because undocumented people in general are harmful in the sense that they cost the government in things like education and healthcare. Fode's response to that argument and that of other immigrants who filed to become litigants in that case is that by definition, because of the requirements of this program, there are people who've lived in the United States for more than 10 years, are married to U.S. citizens, and are typically taxpayers. Fode told me himself that what he submitted as part of his application to prove continuous residence in the U.S. for 10 years was tax receipts, more than 10 years of paying taxes. And so he says they contribute much more than they take. And that is going to be an important part of the legal strategy for the federal government and the groups and immigrants defending this program, is that they're going to say that Texas and these other states will not actually be able to show that they are harmed by this program and will not have standing to sue. But for now, the program is paused.
So, Paul, Republican states argue that the parole plan, which is what people call this, right, the parole plan, is also unconstitutional. Do they possibly have an argument there?
They might actually in the Fifth Circuit, which has been the most hostile appellate court to President Biden's proposals and laws, not just with immigration, but also with abortion and with regard to gun rights. So the strongest claim that the the strongest critique is that the states don't have standing. So standing is the legal term that means you have to have an individual interest in the outcome. Chris, it's really unclear how Texas and these other 15 states are harmed by this program, which simply allows people to get married.
Well, I mean, that's a key question here, right? Harm. The immigrant advocacy group that is involved in this they just successfully defended the administration's protections for migrants coming from Cuba, from Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, on the basis that those Republican states could not prove it would do any harm. Is that a legitimate legal standard?
I think it is, and it may even persuade the United States Supreme Court. The Fifth Circuit is actually more conservative than the U.S. court. So the concern that the Republican states have is that this creates an incentive for people to illegally enter the country. But for it to apply, you have to have been in the country already for 10 years. The average beneficiary has actually been here for 23 years, according to Homeland Security. And Chris, President Biden says he's just trying to keep families together.
So, David, talk about the political context of this. A former Trump advisor worked on it.
Yeah, this is very much not just a policy and a legal story, it's a political story. And yes, so the lawsuit that was brought by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and the other 15 states, they were assisted by America First Legal, which is the legal organization that was founded and is led by Stephen Miller. He's the former senior advisor to then President Trump and the architect of many of his administration's immigration policies. That is a very important player in the legal aspect behind this case. And were Trump to win a second term, it is very likely that Stephen Miller would once again be sort of behind the controls when it comes to immigration policy, which is why a lot of people think that if Trump were to win again, this program would likely be rescinded. That is why for someone like Fode, again, who we heard from at the top, this pause in the program is difficult. I talked to him right after the judge ruled, and he described it as feeling like a knife through the heart, because he was really hoping that the government would process his application before November, at which point it would be much harder for the government to take away that status once it's been granted. Given that this is likely to be paused for some time, really the future of this program depends not just on what happens in court, but what happens at the ballot box in November.
David Noriega, Paul Butler, thank you both.